Hi everybody. Now it is time for us to know how a potter became brave, rather how he is treated as a brave potter. Out of the team, wit and humor, having covered that big drama which is split into two parts, the Dear Departed 1 and 2. Now see reading, that is The Brave Potter. This story also, two parts, not divided in the lesson. It is divided in the lesson itself, not separate two lessons. As you have listened to this lesson in your classes and all, a quick revision, gist of the story. It was raining one day. So when it was raining, two things happened. Now the second thing first. Do you get it? It was raining in the past. Once upon a time it was raining in the forest. And the two things happened simultaneously. Though second thing first. As it was raining, a tiger, it was going back to its den. As it was raining heavily, it wanted to take some rest, shelter, and on its search, it found a hut, a thatched roofed hut, and slowly crawling under that roof, it was resting there, waiting for the rain to stop so that it could go to its den. Just it was about to sleep, about to nod off, this tiger. That time he happened to hear a woman's voice from inside. The door was locked. From inside, behind the door, inside, a woman was. Her voice was heard by this tiger. What she was talking to himself was, as her house was a thatched roofed hut, it was leaking here and there. She was troubled by that leaks, leak. In her frustration, she said, I could very well face a tiger in a forest than having this leak in my house. It's a very crucial sentence. Because this uttering made the tiger, which was sleeping outside, feel that this so-called leak might be stronger, more powerful, more fearsome than a tiger. Otherwise, why would a woman be ready to face a tiger in a forest rather than having that leak in that house? Hearing this, the tiger thought, because it had never heard or seen, that leak. So what might be this leak? Seems to be more powerful than I am. It thought, and thinking, it nodded off. And the same moment, one more place, a potter suddenly got up from his sleep and remembered the donkey he tied outside to a tree. As it was raining, might be getting wet. He wanted to bring the donkey inside. He went out, but to his surprise, he found no donkey there to that tree. Cursing the donkey, he went out into the forest in search of that missing donkey. As it was raining heavily, full of storm and all, so many branches had fallen off, and it was pitch dark, the forest, no lighting. In that dark, walking through the forest, occasionally here and there stumbling over those fallen branches and all, this Potter cursed the tiger, and one time he decided in his mind that on finding the donkey, he would punish that donkey. Rather, he was ready to kill the donkey, his missing donkey. So, in search of the donkey, he went into the forest, and almost all he crossed whole the forest. To the other end of that forest he came. The other end his hut was, and seeing a donkey type figure taking rest under that thatched roof, in that darkness he felt it was his missing donkey. Going to that sleeping tiger, thinking that it was his donkey, he didn't know that it was his it was a tiger. He thought it was his missing donkey. He shouted to the animal and gave heavy blows on its head and warned that he would kill it, and he asked the animal to go back home. Now, worrying about the leak, this tiger went to sleep. So it thought, now it might be the leak who was giving that heavy blows on its head. Please understand here. It thought this Potter who was giving that heavy blows and scolding it might be the leak. So, forgetting its nature, being a fearsome animal, it meekly submitted to the instructions and orders of that Potter. In that darkness, it bent its head, and he tied the rope which he brought with him around its neck, and climbing onto it, he rode it home, to his home. There in that darkness, he tied the tiger, thinking that it was his donkey. He didn't know that it was a tiger till the next day, when the villagers came and told him. He tied that animal to that tree in his yard and went to bed. The next morning, that early morning, those villagers, those who were going on their jobs and all, they saw a tiger tied to that tree, and they had been troubled by a tiger. It had eaten their cattle and all. They too tried their best to get rid of that tiger, but they couldn't. Such tiger now was tied to a tree, the Potter's backyard. So they thought this Potter did a great favor to them by catching that tiger. And within minutes, the news spread across the village that he was a brave Potter who caught the tiger with his bare hands and tied it in his backyard. And to appreciate him, to thank him, he went to him and got him up, and he couldn't believe what they were talking. On coming out, on seeing this tiger being tied to that tree, he fainted, lost his consciousness. It was a shock. And at the same time, in the kingdom where his village was, that king or the kingdom was facing some danger from an enemy. And this king was badly in need of a general to lead his army. And the minister who heard about this tiger catching Potter, doesn't matter, he was brave. What does it matter if he were a Potter? He was brave. The quality a general should have. So minister sent a word for the Potter, and the Potter could not say no. He went to the king, and the king immediately made him the general of that army. The next day he had to lead the army, trying to defeat the enemy. That was the condition. The next day he had to. Of course, he came home and shared his condition with his wife. He didn't even know how to ride a horse. Leave alone holding a sword and fighting with it. Somehow, the wife convinced him at least he should know how to ride a horse. This wife and husband, together, they went to that stable where the war horse was kept, and at least to know how to ride a horse, he brought the horse out, which was eagerly waiting for the general rider. So this horse he was climbed upon, and as he was so new to that horse, he didn't know how to balance and all. He asked his wife to tie him, his feet also, his hand also, total he was tied to that horse back just like a rice sack, a bag. In no way would he fall off the horse. If not riding on the horse, he would be riding under the horse. In that way, he was fully tied to that horse by his wife. As that war horse was eagerly waiting, it immediately galloped out and started running. He crossed all the known places and galloping very fast. That time, he was unable to balance himself. To balance himself, when they were passing a tree, a young tree, this Potter tried to hold the branch in order to stop the horse. But as he was tied to that horse, and the horse's strength was so huge that it was galloping, and that young tree was uprooted. He didn't leave the grip also. So what the scene was? Having an uprooted tree in one hand and reins, R-E-I-N-S, controlling strings of that rope, that horse, with which we control the horse, the rider. Having reins in the other hand, so he was riding. Having an uprooted tree in one hand and reins and controlling the horse in the other hand. This was seen by a sentry, a security guard in the enemy camp. And immediately he alerted the army, his army. And the camp thought that he was really a brave general. They could not face him. That's why, leaving the camp empty, writing a piece of note there, they left the camp. And this horse went there and stopped there. There he found this slip. And they came back. And the king came to know that no more would they be having any problem with the enemy. And now his bravery is now doubled. Now all the villagers and all the people in that kingdom, they were appreciating. Okay, well, and they were appreciating his humility and all. Whereas he was so tired, he went to his home and wanted to take rest. And he sent his wife to the king. The king, having understood the general's condition, thinking that he was so tired, asked his wife to bring the Potter the next day. Though he was not brave, circumstances made him a brave Potter. And as long as he was there as the general of that army for that country, for that kingdom, they didn't face any problem. This is a brief gist, and let us go through that lesson. A plain reading would be enough, easy language, unlike the deer departed. Let us. The Brave Potter. Margaret C., writer, has chosen a very well-known Indian folk tale, Janapada Katha, for retelling in English. Children and adults alike are fond of folk tales, which are often amusing and sometimes instructive. It was dark. These thick black clouds covered the evening sky. The thunder roared and the strong wind shook the branches and leaves of the trees in the forest. Pit, pat, drops of rain fell. Then the lightning flashed and split the black sky with a blinding light. Soon it was raining heavily. An old tiger ran through the rain looking for shelter. He was wet and cold and his cave was far away. The tiger's cave was far away. It was wet and cold. While hurrying to his shelter, he saw an old hut. With a sigh of relief, the tiger crawled under the thatched roof and lay down by the door. Except for the sound of the rain, all was quiet, silent. Before he could nod off, before he could sleep, however, he heard something heavy being dragged inside the hut. He heard something heavy being dragged inside the hut. The door was closed. This was followed by the voice of a woman. "Oh, how terrible this leak is," the woman complained. "How terrible! I would rather meet a tiger in the forest than have this leak in my house." A leak? The tiger thought. What is a leak? It must be very dangerous and strong. Otherwise, the woman would not be more frightened of the leak than of me. Am I not rightly called the king of the forest? Aren't they all afraid of me? I wonder what a leak looks like. That leak word, thinking that it was more stronger and more powerful, more fearsome than it, made the tiger frightened. Soon afterwards, the tiger fell asleep. He was suddenly awakened by an angry voice shouting in his ear. Who it was? Whose it was? It was of the brave potters. He felt heavy blows fall upon his head and shoulders. A horrible beast? Who here the beast is? Beast here is, he is thinking that it is his missing donkey, not a tiger. Okay. A voice screamed angrily, "How dare you run away? How dare you make me walk about the middle of the night trying to find you? Be careful. One of these days I'll kill you. Now go home." The angry voice, the potter's voice, shouted to the tiger, thinking that it was his missing donkey. The old tiger shivered, panicked. Okay, this must be the leak. Who has come out of the hut? I would better do as he says, or he will kill me, because it was the leak about whom I was frightened. So the tiger allowed himself to be bound around the neck with a thick rope. Meekly, it submitted to the orders of that potter. The mysterious creature then climbed onto the tiger's back. Who here the mysterious creature is? That potter. Climbed onto the tiger's back and pulled at the rope. That is R-E-I-N-S, reins. "Come on, head for home," shouted the voice. The tiger felt a sharp kick on his side. The tiger was terrified and he ran through the dark forest. The creature pulled hard on the rope to tell him which way to go, being controlled by this mysterious creature, potter. At the same time, it scolded, cursed, and kicked the poor tiger. Soon they stopped in front of a small hut on the edge of the thick forest where this potter was living. The creature climbed down from the tiger's back and bound him with an iron chain to a nearby tree. So the tiger was bound with an iron chain. Then he went inside the hut. The tiger couldn't free himself from the chain, so he had to spend a miserable night under the tree. Who was this creature who was able to capture such a large and dangerous tiger? Let us find out. This is a part of the story. Actually, why that potter went to that tiger and why he thought that it was his missing donkey, what actually happened to his donkey, that is supplied in the latter part of the lesson. In that way, it is not AB reading, it is BA reading. Okay. Just to make the story interesting. On the afternoon of that day, very important word is that day. Which day? The day the story started. Okay. A potter had arrived home after a hard day's work. Evening it started raining. Now here the story started the same day afternoon. He was tired and thirsty. Who? The potter. He had asked his wife for some palm wine. Okay, homemade wine. The more he drank, the better he felt. When he had drunk all the wine, he no longer felt tired. When the storm began, the potter suddenly remembered that he had left his donkey tied under a tree. He rushed out of his hut to take the animal into the stable. Okay. It's a resting place, the donkeys. You can imagine his anger when he discovered that the donkey was not there anymore. The only thing left was its chain. My stupid donkey must have run off into the forest, he grumbled. When I catch him, I'll give him a good beating. The potter walked through the wet forest. When it became dark, he often stumbled over roots and fallen branches. With each step, the potter felt angrier and angrier with his donkey. When I catch him, I'll tie him up under the tree all night, he muttered to himself. Hours later, the potter reached the old man's hut, under whose thatched roof this tiger was sleeping. There he saw an animal. Important word is, there he saw an animal. Not his missing donkey or not the tiger. He saw an animal. Okay, sleeping in front of the door. There he is. He refers to his missing donkey. But in reality, it is a tiger. He shouted, there he is, the stupid animal. The drunken potter didn't notice the difference between the donkey and the tiger as it was dark and he was drunk a bit. He kicked and bet the sleeping tiger. He then jumped onto the frightened animal's back, rode it home, and then tied it up with the iron chain. Next morning, the villagers who passed the potter's house looked in amazement. They were amazed at the tiger tied to the tree. Soon the news spread throughout the village that the potter had caught a tiger and tied it to a tree in his yard. So, news spread across the village that the potter had caught a tiger and tied with an iron chain in his yard. All the villagers praised his courage. They also thanked him because the tiger had eaten many of their goats and buffaloes. Many of their cattle had been eaten by this tiger. Such tiger was caught. That's why he was thanked for. So they had tried to catch him for many years but failed. So the potter said he didn't know how overnight his donkey turned into a tiger. As he was not believing them, those villagers forced him out, and on seeing the tiger being tied to the tree, the potter fainted. Nobody, however, believed the potter's story. Nobody believed potter's story. What his story was? He only brought his donkey home. That was his story. The villagers even praised him for being modest. He was praised for his modesty. Soon the potter became famous. Okay, so he started enjoying fame. He became famous. Famously across the village, he was known as a brave potter. Everybody who met him called him the brave potter. The simple potter himself never understood why he was being called the brave potter. A few years later, war broke out between the potter's country and a much stronger neighbor. The neighboring country was stronger than the country where his village was, the potters. The king immediately gathered a large army. A large army was gathered by the king. But he realized that it was not strong enough to save his country from defeat. Of course, the army is very large. That doesn't mean that it would win the war. It should be led by a great general. Leader is required. So the army was in need of a general. He needed a hero to lead his army. Where could he find such a brave man? Where could such a brave man could be found? The king hurriedly called his ministers together and asked their advice. The ministers were immediately summoned for and asked their advice. One of the ministers remembered the story of the brave potter. Your Majesty, the minister said, I know someone who can lead our army. The king immediately sent a message to the potter's house. When the potter realized that he had been made general of the army, he became frightened. So, when he came to know that he was made the general of that army, and he was frightened because he didn't even know how to ride a horse, how to hold a sword. He might not even seen a sword in his life till then. The king had ordered him to go to the palace the next day. The next day, the potter was to go to the palace. How could he, a poor ignorant potter, he was ignorant, not knowing what to do, become the general of the army? He had never carried a sword, nor had he ever ridden a horse. Never had he ridden a horse, nor had he held a sword. Oh, I shall die because of that stupid donkey, complained the potter to his wife. He has only brought us trouble, the missing donkey. The next day he went with his wife to the capital. As he had to obey to the orders of the king, next day with his wife he went to the capital, the palace. The king was pleased to see him and ordered the potter to lead the army into the battle the next day. So the potter was asked by the king to lead his army into the battle the following day. The enemy were not far from the gates of the city. A splendid house had been prepared for the potter and his wife. Good arrangements were made for the comfortable stay of the potter's family, that is wife and husband. The horse which could carry him into the battle was ready in the stable. That night the potter couldn't sleep. Why? Because next day he had to go into that battle. He was nervous and worried because he didn't know how to ride a horse. He says, if I fall off, everybody will laugh at me, he thought. I'll get up very early tomorrow and practice riding the horse. Let me get up early in the morning and practice riding horse. At dawn, D-A-W-N, that is morning. So the potter woke up his wife and they went to the stable. They saw the beautiful brown horse ready for its new master. That is a war horse. Oh, how tall he is, sighed the potter. No doubt. Okay, so he wondered, seeing the tallness of that horse. I shall never be able to climb onto his back. Put this bench beside him, said his wife, and use it as a step. The wife asked him to put the bench and use it as a step so that he could climb up onto that horse. Even with the help of the bench, the potter had much difficulty climbing onto the horse's back. Even that arrangement also made a bit difficult for him to be on the horse. When he was finally seated, he found that the saddle was very slippery. That is, the saddle was very slippery. Please tie my feet to the stirrups, dear wife, said the potter. Otherwise, I shall certainly fall off. His wife found some rope and bound her husband's feet tightly to the stirrups. Stirrups means where the rider would put his feet. To that stirrups, the potter's wife, finding a rope, tied his feet so that he would not fall off. Okay. She then passed the rope underneath the horse and tied the two stirrups together. Now, totally he was tied to the horse's back. She also passed a length of rope around the potter's waist and tied him to the saddle. Now, please tie my hands to his neck, said the potter, so that he would not, in no case, fall off the horse. Meanwhile, the big brown horse was impatiently pawing his hooves on the ground. As it was a war horse, it was impatient and it was pawing its hooves, showing its readiness. When the potter's wife tried to pass another rope around his neck, okay, that is the horse's neck, the horse suddenly jumped free. It galloped out of the stable with the potter hanging like a sack of rice on its back. Sack means bag. Okay, just like a rice bag, okay, he was hanging to the horse. Only the ropes kept him from crashing to the ground. Only those ropes with which he was tied to the horse prevented him from falling off the horse. The potter held tightly to the horse's neck and prayed to all the gods to save his wife. All the gods were prayed to save his life. After galloping through the quiet streets, the horse crashed through the city gates and raced across the open fields. Now, it crossed the kingdom, it crossed the palace gates, and it went into the open fields and enjoying its galloping. It leapt over fences and streams and began to head for the enemy's camp. Maybe the potter didn't know where the enemy camp was, but certainly the war horse did know, so it was racing towards the enemy camp. When the potter realized where they were going, or where the horse was heading, galloping, he tried harder ever to stop the horse. He tried his best to stop the horse. He pulled wildly on the reins, but it was no use. The horse galloped on and on. When they passed a young tree, the potter grabbed a branch. This is the twist. Okay, this made him a brave potter. Okay, other part is of course that bringing that tiger, thinking that it was his missing donkey, made him partially brave, and this episode made him brave potter not only in his village and kingdom, but also the enemy kingdom also started believing in his bravery and all. When they passed a young tree, why young tree? Because in the latter part it would be uprooted. That's why it was a young tree. The potter grabbed a branch, but the horse didn't stop. To stop the horse, he grabbed a branch of a young tree, but the horse didn't stop. The strength of that horse is much so larger than that strength of that rooted tree. Instead, the tree was pulled out of the ground. A sentry, that is security guard, from the enemy camp saw the potter galloping towards the camp with a tree in one hand and his reins in the other. What was the scene? Having an uprooted tree in one hand and controlling the horse with the reins with the other hand, the potter was seen riding the horse by that sentry. S-E-N-T-R-Y, sentry. That must be the general who captured a tiger with his bare hands, he thought. No doubt that enemy camp also came to know through their spies and all about this brave potter who was made the general. Now he has uprooted a tree with only one hand. He is not an ordinary man, he is a giant. The sentry thought, run, save yourself. The famous tiger general is coming at the head of the large army to attack us. The sentry uttered, he has the strength of a giant. He has uprooted a tree with one hand. So out of his fright and scare, he uttered very loudly these words, so that the maximum people could hear from his army. The frightened soldiers fled of that enemy. The king was left by himself in his tent. Now in that tent the only king was left. Hurriedly, the king also wrote a letter begging for peace and apologizing for attacking the country. That enemy king also wrote a piece of paper and where he asked for apology, and he offered his apologies for planning to attack his country. He left this letter in the tent. Then he jumped on his horse and followed his soldiers. When the potter's brown horse reached the deserted camp, it stopped. Of course, finally, the camp was deserted. There was no one in that enemy camp. There, this war horse, having potter on it, stopped. With shaking hands, the potter untied his feet and fell to the ground. Somehow, he untied himself and fell to the ground. When he looked around, he was surprised to find the camp empty. That enemy camp surprised him. He looked in the king's tent and found the letter. The puzzled potter walked back to the city with the letter in his pocket. He went to his wife and gave the letter to his wife. Dear wife, he said, never in my life will I ride a horse again. He promised his wife that he would never ride a horse in his life again. Please take this letter to our king and tell him that the enemy has run away. I am going to bed. His wife ran towards the palace with the letter. When the king read the letter, he was full of praise for his new general. He asked the potter's wife where her husband was. The king asked potter's wife where her husband was. You must know. So how to transform the direct speech sentence into indirect speech also. In that changed model, in this 100 marks paper, though you don't have any question on speech, but speech is very, very important as far as the English language and our ability to communicate in English is concerned. So we must have that knowledge over direct speech and indirect speech. Don't restrict yourself just keeping the exams and marks and grades in your mind. Thank you. My husband is tired your majesty, the servants have put him to bed, answered the wife respectfully. Giving utmost respect to the king, respectfully, she told the king that her husband was so tired and he was put to rest by the servants and all. So alone she came with that letter from that enemy. Let him rest today. Tell him to come tomorrow to receive his reward, the king said. The award is already, he won the battle without just even holding his sword, without even twisting and twirling that sword. But now the reward. Awards are different from rewards. The award is already, and the war is already won. That is the award. Now the reward, let us see what the king would do the next day. Next morning, the potter went to the king's palace. Next morning, the potter went to the king's palace. He left the brown horse in the stable and walked to the palace with his wife. The actual reason for doing so was he didn't know how to ride a horse. He didn't know how even to mount on that horse. So he kept the horse in the stable and started walking with his wife towards the king. The streets were filled with cheering crowds. The streets on either side of the street, the cheering crowds gathered and they started cheering at this brave potter and his wife. They had all heard about his brave action. His bravery had been heard of by those villagers. Look how humble he is, they said to each other. They were whispering to each other, saying that he was so humble. Actually, he was not humble. Of course, personally he might be humble, but not that he won the war and he was brave. And he sent the enemy, so without giving them a chance to fight and all. In that sense, he was not brave. He was fortunately made brave. And he was thought to be humble, showing his humility. How humble he is. Otherwise, he could have very well, go to the king, riding on the horse. At least sitting on the horse, he could walk the horse while going to the king. But keeping the horse in the stable, he is walking. So that shows how humble he is, what humility he is showing. So any other man would ride to the palace on the horse, but he is walking like an ordinary man. Any other man certainly would have ridden the horse to the palace, but he is walking. He is truly a humble and a brave man. Not only was he brave, but also truly humble. They were talking among themselves. The king rewarded the potter so well that he didn't need to work again. So that the king rewarded the king so well that the potter, being made the general of that army, didn't have to work again in his life. And as long as he was there, the general of that army and of that kingdom, for that kingdom, no doubt, they, king or the kingdom or the people hadn't faced any problem from any enemy country. The country was peaceful for the rest of his life, and the potter never rode a horse again, because he didn't have to ride a horse again, because as long as he was there as a brave tiger catching general, the general for the army of that country, no other country dared to attack them in that way. So this lucky ordinary potter became in parts brave and braver and army general. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.